Okay, so I'm doing video, and with my crummy laptop and my crummy guitar. Basically, this is all really like low res. Pattern I just played, I call the center zone. The center zone, Z-O-N-E, zone, starts on the 5. Okay, the 5 is G. We go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. We go B, C, D, and then we go D, F, and then G, A, B again. Right? So this pattern covers all the notes, all the natural tones in the middle of the fingerboard. We play one of the notes twice. See if you can catch it. What's going on there is B, C, D, D, E, F. Why are we playing D twice? We're playing D twice because that's where it is. It's there and it's there. And that is what I like to call a unique structure. We're crossing between the G and the B string, which you can also call the 3rd and the 2nd string. Going from the 3rd to the 2nd string in this position on the fingerboard, you get the 2nd note of the key of C, you get D. So what's happening there is that it's a unison, and any unison note between the 2nd and 3rd string is going to have a specific spacing that is different from the unison notes you find in any other part of any other 2 adjacent strings. So between the 1st string and the 2nd string, you have an additional fret space between unisons. On the 3rd string to the 2nd string, what I like to call the 3rd rail. The 3rd rail is the distance between the 3rd string and the 2nd string. It's a major 3rd, as you know if you know how the guitar is tuned, in 4ths and 3rds, right? 4th, 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 3rd, 4th. Major 3rd between the 2nd and 3rd strings, between the G and the B strings. So what that results in is this sort of, you might call it a glitch. You might say it makes the guitar like illogical or asymmetrical, but in fact, what goes on between the 2nd and 3rd strings is really central to the way you find your way around the fingerboard. And so treating it as like this sort of extraneous thing that you kind of sort of encounter every now and then, and you have to figure out how to deal with it, that's nuts, right? So, you know, we have this uniform tuning, which gives us G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, all in the same spacing. That's important because it's just a mechanical thing, right? When you're moving around the fingerboard, you want to solve all these mechanical problems. Okay, how do you get from here to there? So this is a wide open spacing, this fingering pattern here. It's wide open, right? So you're going skipping a whole step. Then you go to the next string and you do the same thing. Then you go to the next string and you do the same thing. So you have 3 in a row the same. I call that the big box. Okay, again, this is a unique structure. This doesn't happen with any other scale degrees or key degrees. So if you're going G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, you're also going 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. right? So you can go 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, anywhere on the fingerboard if you use that fingering, and that's all it can ever be, right? For our purposes, diatonically speaking, in the major key. Okay, asterisk. So here we go. So we're G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and then we've got B, C, D, D, E, F. Again, we're back to this weirdness, right? So this is very central. It's kind of a vortex, right? This is a vortex on the fingerboard. Again, if you know that shape, again, that can only be one thing. When you play 7, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 7, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, what you're doing is you're moving around the core of the key that you're in, okay? Because, why? Because 7, 1, 1 is the tonic, right? 7, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what that does is it places the tonic, the note of the key you're in, and the third, the first harmony note, basically, right? Because you have root, third, fifth, seventh. And if you're starting from the tonic of the key, you're playing the tonic chord, which is chord number 1. Okay, so that's a good place to start, chord number 1. Chord number 1 is C and E, or double stop number 1 is C and E, the first harmony in the key of C. When you start playing music in the key of C and you say, okay, I want to understand the key of C, the white keys on the piano, right? So you just put your fingers down on the C and the E, and you have instant harmony, right? And you take that shape on the piano, you move it around, and you do exactly the same thing with the same 2 fingers all over the keyboard. You have, you know, a nice, pretty tune. Okay, so if you're doing that on the guitar, how do you do that on the guitar? How do you say, okay, I'm going to put those 2 fingers down and play the same 2 notes all over the thing and get some nice, pretty music? You can't on the guitar the same way, right? You have to change the shape of your fingers. So now that business is the 2 fingers on the piano keyboard going up and down. 2 different shapes on the guitar, 2 different shapes. One of the shapes is straight across. The other shape is this little diagonal shape. You're going of the higher fret of the lower string to the lower fret of the higher string diagonally, right? You can see that, right? So I'm going from straight across on the 5th fret, 6th and 7th fret diagonally like that, and then 4th and 3rd fret diagonally like that. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 7. 7, 1, 2. Now if you do that, see, I have to have a G underneath that, right? To make it, I don't get the G that way. How do you do that? You don't. Not worth the effort. Well, maybe it is. There it is. The middle of the key, that's a C chord. That's a C chord. It's on the 5th fret, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. The zones that run around the center here, center. Now you can choose to play one of those D's or the other when you get there. Or the other. So Usually, I guess, if I'm in the 5 here, but if you're in the 6, right? 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You come back to that. This is the 1 and the 5, the C and the G, the major third and the tritone. Tritone, major third. Opened, right? 1. Good. So we've gone. One more time. Correctly. One more time. This little exercise in which you go from the tritone of the key to the tonic, right? The tritone to the tonic, the tritone to the tonic. And that moves around too. That's a central pattern, again, with the big box. The whole steps on each string. I use usually second finger there, but you go. Okay, then the vortex, right? 7, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 5, 6, 7. Now, what key are we in? We're in D. But because we're starting on the 5 in the big box here, everything kind of feels mixolydian. And then you suddenly get, okay, the 5 of the tonic chord. That's a little exploration. Remember, what we are talking about here is finding your way around the fingerboard. Finding your way around the fingerboard back to the key of C. Now, I know where all these notes are because I can picture the shapes of these patterns and they have names. So if you just say, okay, this is a bunch of dots on the fingerboard, and I'm going to put my finger here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and I'm going to memorize, brute force, memorize where everything is, but don't give it a name. Call it something. So what is it? What is it? It's this. It's this. The big box. The big box, the center zone, the vortex. Specific thing. It's not just a shape. It means something musically.